He parked across my driveway every morning just for a minute. That's how it started. Small, irritating, almost laughable. But isn't that how wars begin? Not with explosions, but with a man who thinks the rules don't apply to him. His name was Greg Turner, and he lived 3 houses down from mine on a quiet suburban street in Oakridge, the kind of neighborhood where everyone waves while secretly judging each other's recycling bins. I moved there a year ago after my divorce. I wanted peace, the kind that comes from morning coffee on the porch, from roses blooming under soft sunlight, from hearing birds instead of arguments. I found it, mostly, until Greg moved in. The first morning he blocked my driveway, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't notice. Maybe it was an accident. I waited for him to return, smiling as he jogged back from wherever he'd gone, holding a coffee and a newspaper like a man who thought he owned time. "Hey," I called out, trying to sound friendly. "Could you not block my driveway next time?" He blinked, surprised, then smirked. "Oh, sorry, it was just for a minute." "Right," I said, still calm, "but I needed to leave." Yeah, I'll move faster next time." He waved me off as if I were overreacting, and that was it, the first crack in my peace. The next day, it happened again. His car, a dusty blue SUV, right across my driveway. Engine off, hazards flashing, like that made it legal. I took a deep breath, told myself it wasn't worth it. But the third day broke something in me. Because that morning, I had an interview, a big one, a creative director role at a design firm downtown, the first step toward rebuilding the life I'd lost when my ex left. And there he was again, same car, same spot, same note of arrogance in the way his windshield reflected the sunrise, perfectly blocking me in. I called out as he jogged back, phone in hand, smoothie in the other. "Greg!" He looked at me, startled for a second, then smiled lazily. "Just a minute. You said that yesterday." He shrugged. "You're still here, aren't you?" That was when I realized it. He wasn't apologizing because he didn't think he needed to. He thought I'd adapt. I missed my interview that morning. By the time he returned and moved his car, it was too late. When I told him, his only response was, "You should have left earlier." That was the day I stopped being polite. At first, I tried the reasonable route. Notes on his windshield, polite texts, thanks to the neighborhood group chat, even a conversation with the HOA president. But Greg was always one step ahead in his smugness. When I wrote, "Please don't block my driveway," he texted back, "It's a public street." When I told the HOA, he smiled and said, "Didn't realize I needed permission to exist." He liked pushing buttons, and he thought mine were easy to find. But here's the thing, I'm a designer. My job is to find creative solutions to persistent problems, and Greg was about to learn that creativity is a dangerous thing when mixed with quiet rage. It started small. I began parking my car strategically, halfway out of the driveway so there wasn't space for him to squeeze in. He started parking closer, almost touching my bumper, as if to prove a point. Then I tried timing it, waiting by the window, coffee in hand, watching. He'd park, check his phone, disappear for 5 to 10 minutes, always the same pattern. He thought I'd stay frustrated. He thought I'd give up. But anger, when you hold it long enough, becomes clarity. One Thursday morning, after another week of his just-for-a-minute routine, I saw him pull up and hop out again, heading toward the corner cafe. And that's when it hit me. If he could waste my mornings, maybe I could waste his. I waited until he disappeared inside the cafe. Then I grabbed my keys, slid into my car, and parked it directly behind his SUV, perfectly blocking him in. I turned off the engine, locked the door, and ordered an Uber to work. Simple, clean, poetic. By the time I returned that evening, the neighborhood was buzzing. Apparently, Greg had come back 20 minutes after I left. When he realized he couldn't move, he banged on my front door, but I wasn't there. He'd called a tow truck, fuming, pacing, yelling into his phone. And the tow driver? He made Greg pay full price, $250 up front. When I pulled into my driveway that night, I found Greg standing there, arms crossed, jaw clenched. "You think this is funny?" he snapped. "A little," I said, unlocking my door. "How's the tow bill?" He glared at me. "You're insane." "Maybe, but my driveway's clear." He stormed off, muttering something under his breath. I didn't care. For the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. He didn't park in front of my house. He didn't even look my way. But I could feel it, the tension under the surface, the silence before the next move. Then it came. Saturday morning, I walked out to find my trash can tipped over, garbage scattered across the street. Coincidence? Huh, maybe, except it happened again on Tuesday and Thursday. Always after dark. Always my bin. I checked the security footage from my doorbell camera, and there he was, hood up, sneaking past at 11:47 p.m., grinning like a child pulling a prank. I could have sent it to the HOA. I could have confronted him, but where's the satisfaction in that? No, I wanted him to feel what I'd felt, trapped, powerless, exposed. That weekend, I installed a motion-activated sprinkler system near the edge of my driveway, the kind meant to keep raccoons out of gardens. I adjusted the angle carefully, facing the street, sensor pointed right where he liked to park. Then I waited. Monday morning, 7:42 a.m. He pulled up, coffee in hand, music blasting. Same car, same spot. The second his foot hit the ground, whoosh, a perfect, high-pressure jet of water exploded from the sprinkler, drenching him from head to toe. He froze, blinking, gasping, drenched in his designer jacket. I stood at the window, sipping my coffee. He turned toward my house, sputtering. "What the—" I opened the window slightly. Just for a minute, right? He stomped off to his car, dripping, furious, and sped away. But that wasn't the end, because I'd captured the whole thing, perfect HD footage from my new camera setup. I uploaded it to our neighborhood group chat with one caption, "Friendly reminder not to park across driveways." Sprinkler didn't agree. The video blew up. Within an hour, there were over 50 comments, laughing emojis, people thanking me for creative conflict resolution, and one neighbor offering to buy the same sprinkler. Greg didn't show his face for days, but when he did, he avoided my gaze completely. It was over, or so I thought. 2 weeks later, I got a letter. Not a knock, not a message, a formal complaint from the HOA. Apparently, the use of motion sensor sprinklers directed toward public property violated community regulations. The complaint was anonymous, but I didn't need to guess who filed it. So I responded. I compiled everything, photos of his car blocking my driveway, screenshots of his texts, and most importantly, the security footage of him knocking over my trash. I emailed it all to the HOA board under one subject line, "For context." The next week, the HOA not only dropped his complaint, they fined him for property obstruction and vandalism. He paid quietly. No more smirks, no more comments, just silence. The kind of silence that sounds like surrender. Months passed. The neighborhood settled. My mornings became peaceful again. Coffee on the porch, roses blooming, no blue SUV in sight. Then one afternoon, while trimming my hedge, I saw a moving truck pull into Greg's driveway. He was leaving. I watched from across the street as he loaded boxes, head down, shoulders heavy. His arrogance was gone, replaced by something smaller, quieter. When he turned and noticed me watching, there was a flicker of guilt in his eyes. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered the mornings I'd been trapped, the job interview I'd missed, the quiet fury that had lived under my skin for weeks. So I just smiled. Just for a minute. I called out, echoing his old words. He stared at me, lips pressed tight, then turned away without answering. That night, I stood at my window watching the taillights disappear down the street. It wasn't triumph I felt, it was peace. Peace, the kind you earn after defending the small things people think don't matter. Because it's never about a driveway, it's about respect. I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped out onto the porch. The air smelled like rain and clean earth. In the distance, the motion sprinkler clicked softly, ready, waiting. Not for war this time, but for quiet assurance. I sat down, smiled to myself, and whispered, "Just for a minute, my peace." And this time, no one took it away.
You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.